Okay, hello everybody. I have been away for a week, got some holidays, so I did have the chance to do more live streams as we started before the last year. Okay, let me see here. I see myself like it's appearing. Okay, let me see something. Weird. So say hi if you're in the chat. Let me know who is here. We have an interesting live stream, and as I promised before the holidays, before the at the end of the last year, that I will be doing more live stream like this one. We're gonna be covering worldwide news, especially war situations, conflicts, protests, and anything going around Ukraine, Middle East, Israel, Iran. Hello Tara, hello Mark. A bit more volume. Okay, let's put the volume up. How's it sound now? Better? Let me just turn off my aquarium so you don't hear it. 1 second. Okay, how's the sound now? All right. Let me just check the sound because we have some issues last time with the sound. I want to make sure it's okay. Okay, sound test. All right, sounds better, I guess. A little bit less gain. Okay, how's the sound now? Clear and loud? Loud enough? Okay, hi, hello, Terry Murphy. Hi, wow, wow, like a shot. And Pepsi Fin, welcome all. So, as the title says, we're gonna go over the Ukraine today on this live stream of the attacks, latest attacks on Ukraine. I have gathered information for five titles. Okay. Let me just prepare myself here. So we have a Russia and Ukraine, a rapid escalation loop that is now reaching airborne centers deep inside Russian territory. Russia launched a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile at Ukraine and followed with a massive multi-vector attacks on infrastructure. In response, Ukraine, let me put it here on the screen. Ukraine has struck Russian energy infrastructure and cities with drones. The impact on European civilian utilities and global security signaling is now rising sharply. So let's start with the first title. So Russian forces have conducted, I put it on the screen, Russian forces have conducted a major offensive wave, including the second use of the Oreshnik hypersonic missile against Ukrainian targets. We're going to go deeper into the Oreshnik missile. Who is not aware of that missile system, we will analyze it. We see the features and the capabilities of that missile. Simultaneously, Ukraine is executing long-range drone strikes hitting Russian energy nodes and civilian areas far beyond the front line. Russian aerial, I put it here on the screen that I'm reading from my notes. Oh, let's take away the status. So, okay, so Russian forces have conducted a major offensive where we include the second use of the Oreshnik missile against Ukrainian targets. The Ukrainians have scheduled long-range drone strikes hitting Russian energy nodes, civilians, and civilian areas far beyond the front line. Russian area and drone barrage have critically damaged utilities in Kyiv, leaving large sections of the city without heat, without power or water. Both sides now are targeting critical infrastructure, blurring the lines between military and civilian systems. The UN Security Council is convening an emergency meeting on Monday to address alleged violations of international law. So Russia used its Oreshnik hypersonic missile, again, long range, high speed. Let's go over the missile characteristics. Let's analyze what is this system, so people can understand better why it's now important, why they are using it now. So the Oreshnik travels at hypersonic velocities, typically above Mach 10. That means over 10 times the speed of sound. That's over 12,000 kilometers per hour. So it makes detection, tracking, and interception extremely difficult with any existing air defense system. The Russians actually are saying that there's no system that can defend against Oreshnik. So the missile stems from the RS-26 Rube program, a Russian intermediate range missile family, originally related to strategic systems. The Oreshnik is a very optimized for new combat roles. It has multiple warhead capabilities. One of the most distinctive features can carry multiple independently targeted re-entry vehicles, meaning several warheads that can hit different points in a target zone. Let me actually show you a video explaining how it splits up and to can hit 6 targets. I have it here, I have it on the X side, the video. Okay, let's see the strike actually. Let's see the strike in here the video shows the strike of the Oreshnik. Okay, this video from AI Tele explains clearly about the Oreshnik system. Okay, give me a second. Put it on the screen fully. Okay, this is a platform that is carrying the Oreshnik. So once it starts descending, the missile, it's actually opening 6 warheads that they can hit independent targets. Besides, it's a hypersonic missile. The warheads they change direction, so it's makes it even more difficult to interpret. So the range of this of the Oresnik missile, it's actually, let me see here. I found it varies. It's not classified. It's classified information, but they say it's around 1,000 to 1,600 kilometer range, or maybe more. I saw some sites they say about 4,000 kilometers. So it can actually reach from Russia deep into Ukraine. So once again, the last strikes in Ukraine, again they tackle electricity and energy infrastructure. So in the cold winter now, Ukraine, most of the people, thousands are left, millions are left without heat in this weather. Okay, Ukraine. I'm going to find here my notes. So civilian utilities, now battlefield targets, heating, electricity, and water. Escalation, let's see from the Guardian. Well, we have it here anyways. Residents battle bitter winter cold inside unheated apartments. Ukraine confirms UN to hold emergency meeting Monday to Russian ballistic missile attack. What we know on day 1,418 day of this war. Engineers in Kiev scrambled on Sunday to stabilize power grid enough to the brink by a campaign of Russian strikes included the 2 nights ago. The city's residents huddled against bitter winter cold inside their unheated apartments on Sunday as engineers worked to restore power, water, and heat. Russian attacks killed 5 and injured 24 in the Ukraine over the past day. That's on July 11. That's from today. It's the last 24 hours. Russia attacks against Ukraine killed at least 5 civilians and injured at least 24 over the past day. Regional authorities reported on January 11th. Russia's forces launched 154 drones from Russia's Milerovo, Kursk, Orel, Bryansk, Primorsko, and Russian-occupied Crimea overnight, according to Ukraine's Air Force. Ukraine's air defense electronic warfare system intercepted 125 drones from the 154, that's 124, while another 22 drones hit 18 locations. Fallen debris was also recorded at 2 locations. The attacks are ongoing as of this morning. In Kharkiv Oblast, 8 people were injured as a result of Russian strikes. Kharkiv mayor reported that the Russian Mornia first person view drone hit an infrastructure facility in Kharkiv. Okay, let's see the new drone actually. Ukraine war, new drone deployments and front lines. Ukraine military intelligence says it has deployed a new jet, that Russia has deployed a new jet-powered Geran 5 drone against Russian forces. Russian forces continue heavy drone and missile launches against Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. Multiple regions in Ukraine experience power disruptions and the physical weather. Where is that? This is flex system, okay. And the Geran 5 drone confirmed deep strike capability. Let's see about the Geran drone. Is this one Geran 5? Russia deployed the new drone that Russia is using. It's a jet power drone. At the start of the year, Russian forces used a new Geran 5 attack drone against Ukraine for the first time. Military intelligence report on January 11. The unmanned vehicle, which resembles the Iranian-designed Karat drone, utilized the Telefly jet engine through with greater thrust than the Geran 3 model. Attack drone played a key role in Russia's area campaign against Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. which escalated in recent weeks. Moscow seeks to knock out the country's energy grid. The new drone is approximately 6 meters, 20 feet long, with a wingspan of 5.5 meters. Unlike other general models, which are based on the Iranian Shahid drones, the General 5 is built in a conventional aerodynamic configuration. It resembles those of earlier models in the series, including the 12-channel satellite navigation system, Cometa, and a tracker based on Raspberry Pi microcomputer and 3G, 4G modems, as just said. Let's go deep and analyze actually what is this drone. Have it here. Okay, so here we have the features of the MQ-9 Reaper and the General 5, the new drone Russia is using. So there are, of course, both of them are coming. The MQ-9 Reaper, it's not a kamikaze zone. General 5, it's a kamikaze zone. It's only one-time use. The speed, they say, moderate to high for the General 5. MQ-9 Reaper, it's moderate. The guidance pre-programmed, and the MQ-9 needs a live operator. So it's a pre-programmed, so that means it can actually navigate and hit the target even without any any interference. The cost low to medium. The MQ-9 Reaper is very high. Okay, here I have some images of this MQ-9 Reaper. Let me see here my analysis. Okay, so what is the problem with the issue with this kind of drone, the General 5? Detection, the first problem. It's a jet-powered drones. It's a faster approach, shorter warning window, often flying lower than cruise missiles, sometimes above traditional Shahid altitude. Less time to cue air defenses. So how Ukraine is adapting? By expanding acoustic sensors, using random cue layering, civil plus military, and more reliance on visual confirmation at night. This costs time and attention. Interception methods, what actually works? It says here, guns still effective. Jeopard systems, Z223 and similar, manpads in the last phase. Why gun mounted? Jet drones are too expensive to waste Patriot on. So they say it's too expensive to waste the Patriot missiles on these drones. Guns work well inside short engagement windows. Limitation, jet speed means miss first pass equals high risk. B, missiles, selective use. They can use Patriot to intercept NASAMS, IRIS-T, and use only if target is a critical infrastructure. Drone is unreachable by guns. Multiple drones are converging. Ukraine is forced to ration interceptors. That is exactly what Russia wants. Electronic warfare, reduced effect. So, Orte Shahid and General drones used to have, more vulnerable to GPS jamming and could be diverted or crashed. The General 5 now, it's faster transit, less time to jam, likely inertia backup navigation, possibly, I'm not sure if it has a backup navigation, but they believe it has. Possible terminal guidance update. But it's no longer decisive alone. Defensive reality. Ukraine can stop many, but it cannot stop all. Each jet drone forces higher cost defense, so it's cost them more to intercept this kind of drones. Fatigue matters, cruise sensors and ammo. So that's what it's Russian after. They know they can stop them, but it will cost them a lot of money, and more money they will need, to interfere this kind of drone. Russia is not, why this matters here? Why General 5 matters operationally? Russia is not replacing missiles. It is stretching Ukraine's shield. General 5 sits between cheap Shahed drones and expensive cruise missiles. It fills a gap. So the closest Western equivalent system, Storm Shadow and Scalp, Tomahawk, Switchable and Harrow, comparison from the Storm. It's much more precise, far more expensive on Tomahawk. Strategic weapon, different class. On switchable, it's tactical, short range, and closest conceptually but slower. Russia choosing quantity plus pressure over precision. So why they are using it now? Air defense exhaustion. Ukraine has fewer missiles, limited resupply split, high value targets everywhere, and General 5 forces hard choices. Production reality. Russia can build this domestically, scale them faster than missiles, accept losses. That matters in a long war. It's been over 3 years now. Physiological and infrastructure impact. There's a jet sound, short warning, night strikes. This is about power grids, logistics, civil pressure, not battlefield breakthroughs. Bottom line, what changes? Ukraine can still defend, but defense costs are rising. This is what I said, it costs more money now to continue defending. Reaction time is shrinking. Missile stocks are being tested. Giraffe 5 is not a game changer, but it raised the price of defense. That is the real threat. So, let's say the range of the Giraffe 5. Jet power strike drone, as we said, it's using operational against Ukraine in early 2026. It's part of the broader Giraffe family of drones. Okay, let's see the key capabilities. It has a long range, around 1,000 kilometers, that's about 620 miles, allowing attacks deep inside Ukrainian territory. Warhead, around 90 kilos explosive payload, far larger and more destructive than many earlier kamikaze drones. It uses turbojet engine, faster flight than propeller drones, reducing reaction time for defenders. I likely use satellite navigation and resilient guidance systems, make it harder to jam or mislead. Shares many parts with other German drones, suggesting Russia adapts existing systems for newer variants. So, how Giraffe 5 differs from older versions, older German drones. The engine, it's a piston propeller, used to be on the older drones, now they're using turbojet. The speed, the older drones used to be lower and slower approach. Giraffe 5, it's a higher speed, harder to intercept. The range of the older Giraffe used to be some hundreds of kilometers. Now Giraffe 5, it's up to 1,000 kilometers, around 1,000 kilometers. The payload used to be smaller on the older drones. On the Giraffe 5, it's around 90 kilos warhead. And the role, it's a long loitering missile. This is a deep strike cruise missile-like. Older Giraffes were typically propel-driven and slower, making them easier to detect and shoot down. The jet version trades cost for speed and range, similar to a cruise missile. And here we have the platform from where they can launch them, mobile platform, and you can see here shows the 6 warheads. This is for the Oreshnik, not for the drones. But back to the Oreshnik. Okay. Let me go back to the drones. Okay, so let's continue with the next. Keeps buffering. I think the signal looks excellent here. How's everybody's signal? Is it you have buffering? So what we know that Russian drones numbers remain large. Don't know how many they have, but they still have a lot. Interceptions show high air defense workload, power outages in Zaporizhia region, repeat endurance, civil defense service stretch, tactical shift, Ukraine pushing deeper, indirect strikes, and Russian forces still launching UAVs toward Moscow region frequently. So we're expecting the next few days to see how is Giraffe 5 operational succeeding, and the Russia countermeasures or export similar drones to allies. Yes, Alicia, it's the signal here on my part shows excellent. Yeah, okay. So let's go to the next subject. It's the Middle East. Israel watches Iran and protests. As you've been seeing in the last few days, it's been a lot of, it's like Iran being on fire. Okay, let's go over the Iran, what's happening in Iran. I put on the screen so you can easily follow. So let's start a little bit. Let's go a little bit back to see from December what is happening in Iran. Why the protests started. The current nationwide protests in Iran began in late December 2025, originally triggered by severe economic crisis, soaring inflation and collapsing currency. The Iranian rial dropped sharply, making basic goods unaffordable for many. Long-standing disconnect over high prices, unemployment, and economic mismanagement. This economic grievance quickly expanded into broader political demands, with many protesters now calling for political change or even the overthrow of the clerical Islamic Republic, not just economic fixes. Slogans against key leaders, including Supreme Leader Khamenei. Let's see what's been happening in the last few days. Nationwide escalation. Protesters have spread across almost all 31 provinces in Iran, with thousands demonstrating in major cities like Tehran, Mashhad, Isfahan, Shiraz, and others. Some demonstrators include general strikes and social protest actions that go beyond street marches. The government response. Iranian authorities have responded with one of the harshest crackdowns in years. Actually, over the internet the last few hours in Iran, it's down. Deadly force against demonstrators, including reports of security forces using live ammunition, arrests of protest leaders, and hundreds or thousands detained. The Attorney General has labeled protesters enemies of God, a charge that carries the death penalty under the Iranian law. Communication shutdown. Iran has imposed a near total internet and telecom blackout, cutting citizens off from outside communication and independent reporting. Authorities are even jamming satellite internet services such as Starlink. Casualties and arrests. Independent rights groups report dozens to hundreds of deaths. Figures vary widely due to limited information flows. Thousands of people have been arrested amid the arrest, political tension, and international context. The Iranian government blames foreign powers like the US and Israel for fomenting unrest. Meanwhile, US political leaders have publicly supported protesters and warned Iran against violent repression, heightening tensions. Iranian officials have threatened to strike US and Israel military targets if attacked. Why this round of protests is experts know this movement is different from past protests because it stems from deep economic frustration, not just a single event. In the past it was a police killing. Now it's a deep economic frustration that's been happening over the last few years. Large sections of the middle class, students, workers, and bazaar merchants are involved. These are clear anti-regime chants and slogans, not just economic complaints. In a short, people are protesting in Iran because severe economic hardship, inflation, currency collapsed, growing frustration with political repression and lack of freedoms. In the last few days, the protesters have intensified nationwide. The government has cracked down brutally, including shutting down the internet. Casualty and arrest numbers are high and tensions with external powers are rising. Have the timeline here. Late December, the price spike again. The fuel rent become unaffordable. Protesters begin quietly working students, shop owners. This is economic pain, not ideology. Early in January, demonstrations spread city to city. Chants shift from prices, anger at leadership. Strikes appear, transport, small industry. In the midweek, the last few days, security forces intervened hard. Live fire reported in several cities. Arrests surged into the thousands. Internet slow, then shut down. Protests continue despite shutdowns. Leadership blames foreign interference. No concessions yet that calm the streets. Iran is not run like a normal republic. We have here actually their system. Let me show it on the screen. It's kind of okay. So this is Iran's government system, how it works. We have the elected institutions, appointed by elected institutions, and elected institutions. So we have the elected, the parliament, the president, the assembly of experts. The Guardian Council reports to the parliament, president, and to the assembly, the electorate, to the president, then to the cabinet, and then to the expediency council, armed forces, and head of judiciary. And then they report back to the Guardian Council. So with the red, they are directly elected. With the black, they are appointed or approved. And with the red and the, how you call it, with the dots, it's the vets candidates. This one here, Guardian Council, the president. So at top of the power, it's Khamenei, who controls the military, controls the intelligence, controls the courts, controls state media. Elected officials answer to him. Basically, he's controlling everything. The president handles economic and daily governance, cannot override security decisions, cannot stop the military. If protests threaten control, the president is sidelined. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, loyal to the supreme leader, handles internal unrest, runs large parts of the economy. When the IRGC moves, the system is serious. So why the products are different? This is not just one incident. Long-term sanctions, currency collapse, youth unemployment, no political outlet, all spending abroad while people suffer at home. People are not asking for reform anymore. They're asking for who is in charge and why. Military posture. If the IRGC fully deploys nationwide, escalation continues. Elite fractures. Any public disagreement inside leadership equals dangers for the regime change. Tehran may raise regional tensions to shift focus outward. This is a classic pressure release strategy. The protests start over the money, they evolve into a challenge to authority, and the system responds with force, not with compromises. Internet shutdown, misleadership, fears momentum. This is not resolved, this is contained for now. So what we are seeing in Iran is not a sudden uprising. It started with money, price, jobs, survival. Over the days it turned political, not organized, not led, just spread. The state responded with force, arrest, live fire, internet shutdowns. That tells one thing: the leadership is not confident that this failed on its own. This is contained for now, but is not resolved. Regime survival vs regime collapse. Here's the logic. Explain logic here. So how the regime survives? The regime will survive if the security forces stay loyal, especially the RGCC, orders are followed, there's no hesitation. The elite stay silent, no clerics breaking ranks, no senior resignations, no public blame games, and the protests stay fragmented. No single leadership, no nationwide strike coordination, no clear alternative power center. If all this above happen, that means the regime will survive. The regime will collapse if two things break at once, like security forces hesitate and don't follow the orders, elites begin defecting, or the economy stops functioning completely. And as long the longer it takes, the people are doing protests, that's more, it's hurting their economy. Street numbers alone do not bring collapse. So what we are seeing here, by having thousands in the street, just by that, it will not cause the regime to change or collapse. But if you have the authorities, actually, the security forces, the elites, if they stop following orders, then we have the regime collapsing. Here we have a map, it's West Tehran, Iran, the countries around them, it's Iraq, Syria, Bahrain, Yemen. Key risk zones: Iraq and Syria, proxy activity, Israel, escalation signaling, Gulf state, shipping and infrastructure. All this being leveraged is being positioned. Let me hear on the comments. Do you believe that this will change the regime change on of the protests happening? We say now Iran on fire. Do you believe that we should expect a regime change in Iran soon? Also, let's see some posts on the X about this subject. Currency crash, 56%, food price soared 72%. There's a video here with some protests, and actually they are, they're firing with a live ammunition here. The video is not so clear, but probably was a night time. Mashhad today, January 11, 2020, protests rage on Iraq's holy city. Crowds confront security forces on Vakilabad highway. Fires burn, debris blocks, road smoke rise, defiant strong in second largest city of Iran. Yeah, there you got it. Throwing down statues, asking for change of regime. Reminds me of the of Saddam Hussein. Okay, let's continue. So, the question now, can the government stop this? Yes, with force. Iran's system is built for suppression. The question is cost, not capability. Why shut down the internet? Because protests spread through visibility. No videos, no coordination, no momentum. This is a control measure, not punishment. Will this spread outside Iran? Indirectly, yes. Not refugees yet, not war yet, but pressure leaks outward through regional tension. Let's go back to history now, from 2019 versus 2022 versus now in Iran. In 2019 was a full protest. Triggered food prices, nature economic, response brutal, and the outcome was crash fast. System shock, but narrow. In 2022, it was Mahsa Amini. The trigger was a police killing, cultural and social, the nature of it, and led by youth and women. High emotion, symbolic power, but limited economic shutdown. And now in 2026, we have a trigger survival economics, cross-class participation, workers, merchants, students. Less emotion, more endurance. This is a critic pressure, not flash arrest. Supreme authorities, as we said, Ali Khamenei, the forces of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, civil government, secondary. Elections to not control force, force control outcomes. So historically, when there was tensions in Tehran, in Iran, signals trench externally, raises regional tension, reminds rivals of leverage. High sensitive zones, energy flow, Iraq-Syria proxy activation, Israel escalation messaging, and Gulf shipping lanes. A second here. Let me see your comments on the chat. They won't give credit to people for their achievement right now. What? The Iranian government declares 3 days of public mourning in the honor of security forces, personnel killed by the terrorist criminals supported and trained by the United States and the Zionist regime. Okay. Okay, now let's now fly to Yemen. We have news from Yemen. So we have escalation in the Arabian Peninsula. Saudi Arabia conducted airstrikes against UAE-backed separatist leader in Yemen. With this marks a fracture within the anti-Houthi coalition and risk broader stability in a key transit region. Saudi strikes target political rival forces, breakdown in Saudi-UAE cooperation, the STC denies destabilization role, conflict zone expected, regional risk, strategic Red Sea approaches. No major civilian casualty confirmation yet. Sudan civil war, foreign arms flows. New reporting indicates large foreign arms shipments fueling the Sudanese civil war. Weapons arriving from multiple states, raising the intensity and duration potential of this conflict. So I have the Sudan now. Chinese, Russian, Turkish weapons found in frontline supplies. UAE involvement noted. RSF and SAF capabilities boosted. Civilian displacement persists. Conflict remains a multi-vector proxy arena. This is an ongoing conflict. It's not nothing new, just some fresh data. This has been going on for years. It started from 2023 and it's ongoing. So this has been ongoing from 15 April 2023. An active civil war in Sudan between two rival factions of the country's military government. The conflict involves the internationally recognized government controlled by the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and led by the General Burhan, and consisting of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Republican Guard, and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, led by General Hemedti, who leads a broader coalition. Okay, let's actually, that's all I had for today, but let's actually, I know a lot of big happening in Israel. Let's just put I was going to start a separate stream, but we can actually do it on this stream. So let's go over the Israel news. I do have this ready. I'm just preparing right now. Give me a minute, please. Actually, let's just go over general news. Let's see on the latest headlines from various sources, and we can also go through also the latest on Israel the same way. Okay, test from Iran protest reached more than 500, rights group says. I hate when they do this, okay, all this advertisement. Okay, give me a second to clear this. US-based group says 4,900 protesters, 48 security personnel dead. Trump has threatened US intervention to help protesters. Iran warns US against miscalculation, threatens realization. Israel sources say Israel on high alert for US intervention. Unrest in Iran has killed more than 500 people, as Tehran threatened to target US military bases if President Donald Trump carries out threats to intervene on behalf of protesters. With the Islamic Republic's legal establishment facing the biggest demonstration since 2022, Trump has repeatedly threatened to intervene if force is used on protesters. This already been used, we saw that they are using live ammunition already. So let's see how Donald Trump will react. Which I intervene also on this conflict, on this crisis in Iran. Let me make this larger. Okay. Of course, they say they are not able to verify the tolls. They don't give us the exact numbers, just estimations. And Trump was to be briefed by his officials on Tuesday on options over Iran, including military strikes, using secret cyber weapons, widening sanctions, and providing online help to anti-government sources. The Wall Street Journal said on Sunday. Online help, there's no internet in Iran right now. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad warned Washington against a miscalculation. Let us be clear, in the case of an attack on Iran, the occupied territories, Israel, as well as all US bases and ships will be our legitimate target. A former commander in Iran's elite IRGC said. The flow of information from Iran has been hampered by an internet blackout since Thursday. State TV showed dozens of body bags on the ground at the Tehran's coroner's office, saying the dead were victims of events caused by armed terrorists, as well as footage of loved ones gathered outside the Forensic Medical Center in Tehran, waiting to identify bodies. 3 Israeli sources who were present for Israel security consultations over the weekend said Israel was on high alert, footing for the possibility of any US intervention. Israel and Iran fought a 12-day war, we were studying that, in June last year, which the United States briefly joined by attacking key nuclear installations. Iran retaliated by firing missiles at Israel and an American air base in Qatar. We were live streaming that actually, Tel Aviv and the cars we have in live, we saw these attacks. Families, I ask you, do not allow your young children to join rioters or terrorists who behead people and kill others. US ready to help, says Trump. Trump posting on social media on Saturday said Iran is looking at freedom, perhaps like never before. The USA stands ready to help. In a phone call on Saturday, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio discussed the possibility of US intervention in Iraq, according to an Israeli source present for the conversation. Trump says no more. Cuban defund after Trump says island to receive no more Venezuelan oil or money. Venezuela is Cuba's biggest oil supplier, but no cargoes have departed from Venezuela approach to the Caribbean countries since the capture of Venezuela President Maduro. They actually, yesterday was the capture of the fifth vessel carrying crude oil. Okay, this is our old news here. Let me see what does it have here. Okay, Israel. Israel fire kills 3 people in Gaza. 3 months. Oh my God. So, let's go from the Times of Israel. Israel fire kills 3 people in Gaza, say Palestinian reports. Israel fire kill at least 3 Palestinians in 2 separate incidents across Gaza. Hamas link health authorities say medics say 1 Palestinian was killed in the Tafah neighborhood of Gaza City in an area under Hamas control, while 2 others were killed in the town of Bani Shuhaila, east of Han Yunis, in an area of the Israel-controlled side of the yellow line that demarcates the IDF's withdrawal. There is no comment from the Israeli military on the 2 incidents. A Hamas official tells Reuters that the group has urged mediators to intervene to stop daily Israeli killings that aim to derail the ceasefire deal. Israel has accused Hamas of regularly violating the ceasefire. Hamas says it instructed Gaza agencies to prepare to give up power as part of the ceasefire plan. Okay. Let me see what else here. Israel planning Gaza City offensive in March, but we need Trump's okay officials. Netanyahu skeptical US will be able to secure Hamas. Hamas disarmament has had IDF devise contingency plan to take over more of Strip's territory, Arab officials tells TOI. The Israel Defense IDF has drawn up plans to launch renewed intensive military operations in Gaza in March with an offensive targeting Gaza City aimed at expanding the part of the Strip controlled by Israel. An Israeli official and an Arab diplomat told the Times of Israel on Saturday. The comments came as the IDF said 3 Gazans were killed in military strikes after allegedly approaching troops stationed along the Yellow Line ceasefire demarcation, which will be pushed westward toward the coast under the plan. The Arab diplomat said that the operation will not be able to go forward without the support of the US, which is still trying to advance the fragile ceasefire reached in October to a second phase that includes Hamas disarmament. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu agreed during his meeting with Trump last month to cooperate with efforts to advance the ceasefire. He does not believe that they will be successful in disarming Hamas and has accordingly directed the IDF to prepare for a contingency plan. So they don't believe that Hamas will finally disarm. We knew this from the very beginning, since the ceasefire time from October, that Hamas will not just give up the arms. On the first day of the ceasefire, October 10, Israel forces pulled back to the Yellow Line, leaving them in control of roughly 53% of the Strip. The Gaza City operation planned for March should see Israel increase that percentage. The Jannah that has an offensive against Hamas, will now be easier for Israel because it no longer has to worry about putting hostages at risk. Now that all the living hostages and all but one hostage's body have been returned. He added that it would be also easier for Israel to evacuate Palestinians because most of them are living in tents, with one possibility being to bring them to the Israel-controlled part of the enclave. Since the ceasefire, Israel has been launching regular strikes and attacks targeting what it says are terror operatives who breach the ceasefire. On Saturday, the IDF said it killed 3 operatives in a separate incidents across the Strip after they crossed the Yellow Line and approached Israel troops, posing what the military described as an immediate threat. Okay, we have here the image of the Yellow Line. We've been talking, so we'll put it in perspective. Here's the Yellow Line. North Gaza cities, Gaza City, six sides. The yellow lines are actually the first phase withdrawal line, and on the white, it's the Gaza governorate boundaries. Israel forces remain in Beit Lahia, Beit Hanu, parts of Gaza cities, Shujaiya, Tufaq, and Zaytun, more than half of Khan Yunis, and nearly all of Rafah, all crosses in and out of Gaza. We have here the 20 points of Trump's plan. Let's just go over them fast. So, point 1, Gaza will become a de-radicalized terror-free zone. Gaza will be redeveloped to improve life of its people. War ends immediately once both sides agree with Israel withdrawal to an agreed upon line and ceasefire. All captives alive and deceased return within 72 hours of Israel acceptance. This will be happening already. Israel frees 250 Palestinian life sentence prisoners, 1,700 detainees, and exchange remains proportionally. Hamas members who the commission, let me zoom on this, you can see better. Okay, number 6, Hamas members who decommission their weapons get amnesty or safe passage abroad. That's probably already finished. I mean, they can still give up and surrender. Full humanitarian aid ends immediately to repeat essential infrastructure. Gaza government temporarily by Technocratic Palestinian Committee under international aid flows freely via UN and Red Crescent in Rafah closely reopens under agreement. Gaza governed temporarily by a Technocratic Palestinian Committee under an international board including former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair and led by Trump. Trump economy plan to rebuild Gaza with global investment and job creation. Special economic zone established with favorable trade terms, no forced displacement, people are free to stay, live or return. Hamas excluded from governance, all weapons dismantled. Regional partners guarantee Hamas compliance and security. International Stabilization Force ISF deployed to secure Gaza and train police. Israel won't occupy Gaza. Withdraws as stability and demilitarization progress. If Hamas rejects the plan, areas handed over from the Israeli military to the ISF will proceed. Interfaith dialogue launched to promote values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. Reforms paved the way of Palestinian self-determination and statehood. The US leads talks for a peaceful political future between Israel and Palestinians. This was actually the 20 points of Trump's plan. Now, the beginning ones, most of them they are done. Now the rest, time will tell. So here we have actually the lines, the yellow, the red, and the blue. The initial withdrawal yellow line in the first phase. Israel pulled back to the line designed in yellow on the map. Hamas has released all living Israeli captives that were in Gaza and most of the dead bodies of captives who passed away in the enclave. The second withdrawal, red line, second withdrawal. During the second phase, International Stabilization Force, ISF, will be mobilized to oversee security and support Palestinian policing, while Israeli forces are to retreat further to the line marked in red, reducing the direct presence in Gaza. Here's the yellow line, first phase, and the second phase, the red line. And what we see here, it's actually the Gaza Strip. The third withdrawal, the security buffer zone. In the final phase, Israeli forces to pull back to the designated security buffer zone, leaving a limited portion of Gaza under Israeli military control, while an international administrative body supervise governance and transitional period. The buffer zone, here on this. Here's the buffer zone around Gaza City. Blue is Israel military current line of control. Yellow line, the initial withdrawal line. On red, the second withdrawal. And the third buffer zone, the security buffer zone. Many questions remain about how the plan will be implemented, the exact boundaries of Palestinian territory, the timing and scope of Israel withdrawals, the role of the ISF, and the long-term implications of Palestine across Gaza and the occupied West Bank. Okay, let me see what else we have there. Over 500 killed, more than 10,000 detained in crackdown on Iran protests, say activists. Daily briefing, January 11, date 828. Iran threatens Israel as anti-regime. Protests hit 2-week mark. Fleeing center violence, Palestinians leave one of the few remaining Jordan Valley hamlets. Over 2,000 families from one of the few remaining Palestinian Bedouin villages in the West Bank Jordan Valley have packed up and fled their homes in the recent days, saying harassment by Israeli settlers living in unauthorized outposts nearby has grown unbearable. The village Ras Ein El Auja was originally home to some 700 people from more than 100 families that have lived there for decades. 26 families already left on Thursday, scattering across the territory in search of a safer ground. We have been suffering greatly from settlers. Every day they come on foot, or tractors, or on horseback with their sheep into our homes. They enter people's homes daily. Israel's military and the local settlement council in the area did not respond to requests for comment. Okay, let's see some headlines I gathered for Israel the last 48 hours. From the Wall Street Journal, headline: Israel and Hamas get ready to go back to war in Gaza. Israel says Bulgarian diplomat Nikolai to direct Trump's board of peace for Gaza. Israel strike kills 3 people in Gaza. We've been over that. Israel military said the attackers were militants identified as imminent threats. Local health officials said civilians were among the casualties. Tensions rising. Israel and Hamas prepare for potential renewed conflict. Analysts from military sources reported that Israel and Hamas are preparing for the possibility of returning to war in Gaza. Key sticking points include Hamas' refusal to fully disarm as required under elements of the US broken peace plan, the 20 peace plan deal. Hamas continues rebuilding its military infrastructure, including tunnels and arsenals. Israel has contingency plans for a new ground offensive if diplomacy fails. US Peace Board appointment tied to Gaza ceasefire oversight. Former UN envoy Nikolai Mladenov was appointed to lead the US Board of Peace charged with overseeing aspects of Gaza ceasefire implementation. The role includes coordinating reconstruction, security arrangements, and partial Israeli troops withdrawals. However, the progress is limited and humanitarian conditions remain critical. It's from this article from the Associated Press. It's a 2-day article, January 8th. Domestic headlines in Israel, political security, and Iran-related from Times of Israel and I-24 News live feeds. Netanyahu signs counter-terrorist declaration with German minister. Israel on high alert regarding Iran developments amid ongoing protests. and potential US responses to Iranian unrest. IDF has targeted Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon and is monitoring cross-border threats. Local incidents include clashes between Israeli settlers and Palestinians and protesters, police action in Jerusalem and other cities. Regional violence along borders and wider Middle East development. IDF has conducted operations against Hezbollah weapons sites in Lebanon. Tensions with Iran's leadership and US policy responses are shaping Israel's strategic posture. Israel continues heightened defensive readiness amid broader regional instability. Gaza ceasefire. Sporadic violence continues. Ceasefire under strain. Israel-Hamas relations. Both sides preparing for potential new conflict. Diplomacy. U.S. peace oversight efforts continue but face challenges. Regional security, Iran tensions, and Hezbollah threats factor into Israel's defense posture. Okay, let me hear from you on the chat. Do you believe that Israel will and the ceasefire plan will once again fail? Do you believe that Israel will go back to starting the war in Gaza, or do you believe that they just be focused now on Iran, what's going on in Iran, and waiting for the U.S. response on Iran situation, and maybe the next target again it's Iran. So we'll be covering a lot in this live stream. We'll be covering Ukraine. We covered Yemen, Israel. We did cover in a deep analysis of the missiles Russia is using, the Oreshnik, the Gerard 5. I hope you found the live stream informative. It was just for 5 headlines, but we went over many more as we were on live. So don't forget to subscribe. Comment on the chat, comment on under the video description. Let me know what you like to see next, what other live streams I should make. I'll be trying to be making live streams more and more often now, since holidays time is finished. And I'll be trying to covering even breaking news stories or deep analysis, any conflicts or wars going on. Keep you informed, keep you alert. So don't forget to subscribe, like, press the bell for notifications, and I'll see you on the next live stream. Let me just look at the comments on the chat. Thank you, Wow, for being here. Thank you all for being on the chat, all lurking, all the members. You can join the channel, who is not joined yet. From time to time, we've been doing some exclusive live streams or videos just for members. Expect more to come on the near future. More live streams for members especially. Thank you, Alicia, for being here. Thank you, Kiera, Tara, Terry Murphy, and all of you in the chat. I see some names. Let me see who I don't know here. Yeah, all regular members and subscribers. Okay, so I wish you a good night for now. If nothing if something happens I mean tonight, I'll probably do another live stream, or if I find anything interesting to live stream for tonight, I will go ahead and start a new live stream. So press the bell to get notified whenever I go for live stream. Thank you all for watching.